Hey up everybody, and welcome back to the Audi Cycling YouTube channel, where today we're going to be taking a look at the Renewi Tour. This race starts tomorrow, but the start list was announced quite late, so therefore this video is coming out fairly close to the start of the race, but it is what it is. I wasn't going to leave you guys without a video. So, first things first, let's take a look at the stage profiles of the Renewi Tour. This race is 5 stages long. Every single stage has a golden kilometre, or they call it a green kilometre. Green kilometre, golden kilometre, you guys know what I mean. We've got bonus seconds on offer there, and also at the finish line. We've got a sprint on stage 1 and also on stage 2. That is obviously presuming that there are no crosswinds taken into account there. And then stages 3, 4 and 5 are the more GC orientated stages. We have firstly this stage around to Gardensbergen, which is usually the last stage actually. We've seen like Mohoric win here, Turnison win here as well, and Van der Poel has won here as well. This is a stage which Van der Poel seems in a press release said he's really keen, and he's circled in red. It's a big day for GC, 180 odd kilometres long, finishing up like halfway up the Keppelmer, and the green kilometre, is at the top of the Bosberg, which is absolutely crazy. Stage 4 is again up and down all day. No cobbled climbs like there was in stage 3, but up and down all day long. So it's going to be really attritional racing. And you're going to see the same on stage 5, which again, no cobbled climbs in here, but look how many categorised climbs there are in here. It's going to be crazy difficult racing to control. It's going to be, attacks, counter-attacks, and there's no TT in there, you'll obviously realise, so that might influence who you pick. So, taking a look at VELOGAMES, we've got Van der Poel's the most expensive at 24 credits. I am not sure about picking Van der Poel at 24 credits. I was hoping he might be a little bit cheaper. I might pick him if he was like 20, but Van der Poel at 24 credits is quite a lot, considering that there are other riders here who I think are other favourites for this race, who will compete in the same number of stages as Van der Poel, because I think that realistically Van der Poel will be very good on stages 3, 4 and 5, so long as he's got over this pneumonia, which there are still reports that he is suffering from after the Tour de France. But he is going to the mountain bike world champs in all of 2 weeks or so, and I think he will be in decent form at least, but it is a risk going with Van der Poel for sure. And I don't think he'll be competing in the first 2 sprints. I think they'll probably go with Simon de Haas instead. I just don't think Van der Poel will get involved in the pure bun sprints. He'll get bonus seconds probably in the green kilometre, but I don't see Van der Poel having that much advantage over some of his other counterparts here who are cheaper. So I might skip on Van der Poel this time round. That might well come round to bite me, but I'm not feeling overly keen about picking the king himself. It's kind of hinted here, but I do currently have De Lee in my team, and I think he is a very good pick. Last year he was unlucky where he lost loads of time in the time trial. I think did he crash or had a mechanical? Anyway, De Lee would have finished on the podium last year, but because of a terrible TT he didn't. I think De Lee covers all the boxes. He can compete in every stage in this race. He's good on cobbles, short climbs, fast pure sprints as well. I think De Lee is the whole package for this race, and the lack of a TT really helps him, and I think that De Lee is a really good choice for this race, as is Vácek. I think the disadvantage of Vácek over De Lee, and the reason why De Lee is more expensive, is because Vácek won't compete in the 2 sprints of the start. I don't think. They've got Teutenberg here, who I think will get the sprints, and then Vácek will go for GC. That'll probably mean Vácek goes for the golden green kilometre, whatever, bonus seconds. So I think that's what I'm expecting to see. Then Vácek will do his GC stuff in stages 3, 4 and 5. They've got a really strong squad here to Lidl Trek as well, including Schoens and Stuyven, Thibaut Nace as well. So Vácek I really like for GC. I think that the ADAC Classic was really indicative that he is recovered from that Tour de Pologne crash. He was really giving it some proper beans on like the climbs in the ADAC Classic. I can't remember exactly what it was called, but Vácek looked really good there, and I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do. Then you have really good options in 16 credits. You've got Magnier, Merlier and Wellens. I think all of these are good in their own right. Merlier could well win the first 2 stages, and I don't think he will score as many points as Wellens will, or maybe even Magnier, but I think Merlier is very safe if you just want a couple of wins probably at the start. Magnier is a little bit, his point scoring will be stifled by the fact that Merlier is here, because Magnier will likely not get involved in the pure bun sprints, but similar to Vacek, will fight for bonus seconds in the green kilometre. Magnier's part will come in the latter part of the race, where he will fight for GC, but he looked really good in Polonia. ADAC Classic looked really good, so I think Magnier will be up there in GC. The lack of a TT also helps him out quite a lot. I think Vacek would have loved a TT in this race, but I think Magnier will be up there in GC. It's just a shame that there's also Merlier here, because Magnier would have been a fantastic pick, but yeah, he won't get the sprint points from the first couple of stages, but I'm not sure if that's enough to ward me off. And then Wellens is so good at this race, it's ridiculous. I think the only time he's finished below 4th place was back in 2013, when he was probably like 20 years old or something like that. And Wellens, he's won this race four times, I think. And outside of that, he's finished like 3rd and 4th and stuff. Like, he's ridiculously consistent in this race. I think Wellens is a really safe pick. Okay, he might not have the kick to really beat like a Magnier or Deli in a pure sprint at the end, but Wellens is going to be a consistent GC performer in those last few stages, and it's the sort of race that's really going to suit somebody who's pinging off solo, and Wellens is super good at that. We saw that in the Tour, so I think Wellens is a really good pick, and you're seeing that a lot, is that there's a lot of good quality riders here at the top. Biniam Girmay, tricky to guess what he's going to do. He will get involved, I presume, all over the place. Like, in theory, he is like Deli, where apart from 6 credits cheaper, where he can sprint and do cobbles, and the fact there's no time trial is really good for him. But yeah, he wasn't fantastic at the ADAC Classic. He finished 8th. That was perhaps just getting boxed in the sprint. But I still think Binny is a good choice, and as a matter of fact, I think he's my favourite 14 credit rider, because I think that if he can be up there in GC as well, he's going to be a really good choice. I think it beats Coy, who is realistically going head-to-head with Merlier for those first 2 stages. But outside of that, I don't think he'll do much else. Mohoric obviously I think he has won this race in the past, I want to say, or at least he's done really well in the past. But yeah, the last we saw of him, he was doing pretty good at the last stage of the Tour, and I expect him to be in good form for this race. But at 14 credits, it's a little bit of a risk. If you want if you want to put him on as a differential, I think that's a smart choice. But I think that somebody like, probably Binny is safer, and Coy. Mohoric is definitely just a risk. I wouldn't be going with Nace or Van Hills. I just don't think this is their style of race, to be honest. I think they're more punchers for the Ardennes, and I think that these climbs are arguably maybe even a little bit too short for them. I think they're more suited for the power heavier riders, and I think that they will be up there, but not worth the 14 credits. In terms of 12 credit riders, I think you got a good few options here in Bettiol. He was super good in Polonia. He was top 10 in GC, clearly climbing very well. He's got a fast finish, and I think he could well top 10 this race. I really like Morgado as well. He was top 10 in the ADAC Classic, clearly sprinting very well. And that combination of Wellens and Morgado in parts of a race where there's only leaders left would be really integral for countering the main group. So I like Morgado at 12 credits, and I also like Ben Turner, who's been in fantastic form recently. In Polonia, he was super good, got that stage win, and has just been climbing, and he's Ineos' sprinter, so in theory Ben Turner can get involved in every single stage. So I like those 3 the best, but Laurence is also an interesting choice. It'll be him or Ben Turner to be leading the team. Then you got the 2 Groupama riders, where you got Penoe, who can climb pretty well. He should be getting involved in definitely the first 2 sprints. Outside of that, I don't really know if he'll climb well enough to compete. And then Madouas, maybe he could sneak a top 10. And then the 10 credit riders, Del Grosso you could well pick. He was alright in Denmark, but it depends. If Vanderpool's not going well, Del Grosso will be a very good pick. Outside of that, Del Grosso may well just be a domestique. I'm not too sure. But 10 credits, you're not risking that much for him, I would say. Albanese, I think, will be up there in the top 15. Berkmos is a little bit hot and cold at the moment. He wasn't as good in Franco-Belge as I thought he would be. Bittner should be sprinting for Picnic Postonel, but doesn't climb well enough for the overall GC. Ditto Ardvid Decline. Ditto Fretan and Groenewegen and Milano, to be honest with you. And I don't know where. Is Teutenberg even in this race anymore? Has he been taken out? I think he might have been taken out, So all that argument about Vacek earlier might be just completely up in smoke, to be honest. Vacek is... If Teutenberg has been removed, then Vacek is an even better pick, basically. You got a load of sprints in here. Turnison is more versatile, and I don't think he'll get involved in the pure bun sprints, but he has won up Gradensbergen before, so I expect him to be a good choice. And Vandenberg is a strong, versatile sprinter who might get involved all over the place. A bit like Ben Turner, I expect. So you got a mixed bag in the 10 credit riders, but I do kind of sneakily like Del Grosso, because if Vanderpool isn't going to be doing that great, or if everybody's looking at Vanderpool, then Del Grosso could well get his own opportunity. The 8 credit riders, I like Ballerini if he's sprinting. And if he's climbing as well as he was up Montmartre, then Ballerini will be a very good choice. But he wasn't that great at the ADAC Classic the other day, so I'm a little bit trepidatious about picking him. There is Simon de Hez, who I think Alpecin will sprint for on the first 2 days. Fedorov may also sprint for Astana. Who knows? They've got Ballerini, they've got Fedorov, they've got Turnison, and they've got Caseball. I don't know who they'll be sprinting for. It'll be one of them. Gotalat may well sprint for Decathlon, but they also have Tronchon, who is a good puncher, won Trobro Lyon earlier this year, and I think he will be a decent choice for the overall GC. It's just that the recent form hasn't quite been there, but he's still a decent choice. I like another sprinter for Astana, Max Kanter. How many more sprinters do Astana want? This is ridiculous. You got Machev Govakar as well. I think he is the sprinter for Bahrain, but as I mentioned, they will only get 2 stages realistically. Lukasz Kubish, I think I like as well. Probably one of the better 8 credit riders, just because he can sprint and he can climb pretty well. Especially we saw that in the Tour of Denmark, so I think Kubish could well get a top 10 in GC and be up there in quite a few stages, so I'm a big fan of him. Ploymers as well, very similarly, he can sprint, he can climb, he can do it all. Like I mentioned, Tronchon, and I like Fred Wright as well. He was top 10 in the ADAC Classic. He has been top 10 in the Gladensbergen stage before. I don't think he's ever really done that well in GC in the Renewi Tour. Might have been top 15 last year, but Fred Wright and Kubish are probably my favourites from the 8 credit bracket. The 6 credits aren't actually that many I like here. I like Aski because I don't see Groupama with a big leader for GC, and I think Aski can, although he's just signed for Israel Premier Tech, I think Aski can definitely do a job for GC here. There's Caseball, like I mentioned earlier. Pierre Barbier should sprint for Wagner Bazin, in theory at least. Dries de Bont usually gets in the breakaway quite a bit for Decathlon, so you could get some breakaway points from him. Jake Lula, they have Groenewegen here, right? Yeah, so Rob Donaldson, unfortunately, will just be on domestique duty. But outside of them, you're looking at assist points. You're looking at maybe Milesi. He was okay in Bologna. And also in the Tour de Wallonie, he was top 10 in a couple of stages. There's no time trial, which isn't great for him. But I think for Movistar, their best performer for GC will come from either Milesi or from Tesfazion, who's also a 6 credit rider, so one of those two will be a sensible choice. There is Tesfazion that I just mentioned, so either one of those two I think is good, and maybe Mick van Dijken could be good. I know they got Welsford here as their sprinter, but he's been very off the boil. He's coming back from injury as well, and Mick van Dijken is a very good classics rider as well. I know we got Van Hils and Adria here, but maybe Mick could do something here. He's got a pretty fast sprint as well, so he can get involved in some of those green kilometres. And yeah, that's probably about it. Maybe Florian Vermeersch as well. He has finished second in this race before, and even if he doesn't do that great in GC, he'll still hopefully get assist points from Velens and Morgado and their Team GC points. Speaking of Team GC points, we're on to the 4 credit riders, where realistically you're only looking at assist points barring a couple of riders. Tim de Klerk is going to be the one that makes the most sense because he'll get assist points off of Lidl Trek. You know, Vatsek's looking really good. He should be up there on the podium, hopefully. You've also got Stuyven and Schoins and Thibaut Nace up there as well. Kirsch is a team that should be in the top 3 of the Team GC, so Tim de Klerk could be racking up 40 to 50 assist points, something like that. De Viet, he finished, I think I want to say, it was like 22nd or something in the Circuit Franco-Belge. He was the best performer from Flanders Baloise. So maybe that's indicative of a top 30 in GC, possibly. Jonas Haynes. If there's any Belgians, then help me with my pronunciation a little bit. He came top 10 in a stage of Tour de Turquia. Might have been like the second. It was the one which Thibaut de Grasse won. It was like stage 3 or something like that. And I think he was also top 10 in a stage of Tour of Norway. I think he might even have been top 10 in GC there. The stage which Maxime Van Hills won, it was quite a punchy stage. He came top 10, so a couple of Flanders Baloise riders for you to pick from there. You might decide to go with Andreas Stockbro. He was just 20th in GC in the Tour of Denmark, so that was a good, very punchy race, quite reminiscent of the racing we're going to have here. So Stockbro, I know we've got Kubish there as well, but Stockbro could be a top 30 for GC as well. You also have Leander van Holtegem, and I can't remember, he is a sprinter for them. I think he was top 10 in a stage in the Baloise Belgium Tour, I want to say. It was a sprint which Merlier won, so you could well go with him as well. So there's a few to be picking there. I would say the safest one is to go with Tim de Klerk for the assist points and Stockbro. You might go with Colby Simmons as well, I suppose, for breakaways, just because AEF don't have that many big leaders in this race, so maybe they'll just send riders in the breakaway quite a lot. Anyway, this is my team at the moment. I realise this video has been a little bit long, but I've got Deli, Velens, Morgado, Vatsek, Turner, Fred Wright, Lewis Askey, Tim de Klerk and Stockbro. I'm quite happy with this team. I have had instead of Vatsek, I've had like Magny in there, and instead of Turner, I've had Binyam Gourmet, but I think Vatsek's looking really good for GC, and especially since Teutenberg isn't here for the sprints, I think it makes sense to go with him. Binny, yes, he's been good, but I think that Turner has been in a good vein of form at the moment. I might not go with Fred Wright. You know, I know they might go with Govakar for the sprints, but Kubish might get more involved than Fred Wright will overall in the race, let's say. So maybe I go with him instead of Fred, but I'm quite happy with the Deli, Velens and Morgado, Vatsek. Instead of Morgado, would I go with anyone? I mean, I could go with Bettiol, I suppose, but Morgado, him and Velens I quite like as a double act. I could also go with Del Grosso and then upgrade Askey to, like, I could take off Morgado, just to give you guys a little bit of context. Del Grosso, and instead of Askey, I could go with Fred Wright, if I thought that Del Grosso would be a really good pick to go with rather than Morgado. You could go with something like that. But anyway, let me know what you're thinking in the comment sections down below. I want to hear who you're putting onto your teams. And also, be sure to stick around and subscribe or whatever, or don't. It doesn't matter, really. And because obviously the Vuelta is starting this weekend, so hopefully George I think he'll probably release the competition this evening. So I will do a sort of reaction video, a deep, like an analysis video, hopefully do a podcast video with the guys, and then reveal my team hopefully on Friday before the race starts on Saturday. So be sure to come back to the channel and watch those videos as well. And all there's left to say is to stay safe out there, and I will see you in the next video. Salut.